Hi, my name is Egwuenu, and in this video I am going to be sharing with you some relevant skills that are needed for you as a front-end developer in 2021. Have you been thinking about upskilling, or you're just trying to get into tech and become a front-end developer? Then this video is exactly what you need to watch. By the end of the video, you would have understood the different areas that are in front-end development, because front-end development is very wide, and you understand and know the skills that you need to start learning to upskill as a front-end developer. Before we get into the roadmap, why is it important to have a roadmap or a self-directed resource as a front-end developer? I think the number one reason why this is important is because it's always good to have a direction when you're trying to learn stuff. And how best do you select what you need to learn and stay up to date, especially in the world of the web, where there are so many different things that you could be learning at the same time, and it can become a bit confusing for you. So in order not to be in that phase, I think having a roadmap that helps you learn from a certain point, say from like beginner level all the way to advanced level, is very, very important. And this could be for different reasons. It could be for you trying to level up for a specific skill needed for a job, or just to develop yourself personally, or just for personal interest. All of these reasons are quite valid for you to be using this roadmap that I'll be sharing with you. So let's get right into it. So I've been talking about the roadmap the entire time in this video. I would like to introduce you to Front-End Developer Learning Roadmap. This is a roadmap put together by the people at Frontend Master, and it has been a recurring thing every year where they put together this resource for front-end developers to learn like the different areas in front-end, from the beginning of it, like HTML, CSS, all the way to the advanced level JavaScript type stuff. So I'm very excited to be using this newly released one, the recent one for 2021, to just share some insights with you on what I feel should be things that we look into as front-end developer trying to level up our skills. So if you're interested, I'm going to be leaving all the links in the description box below. As you can see, they've been doing this for a while, from 2016 all the way to 2017 to 2019, and this is the latest one. So this is the one we are going to be using. So let's get into it. I actually liked that they revamped the way they did it. Initially, they were not using like this data visualization kind of setting, and I really like this. I had to actually go and then see how they were building this, because this also has a GitHub repo, and I discovered that they were using a Python visualization library called Viz, and I'll show you how it works. So I'll just walk you through it from the beginning, what you can get out of this roadmap, and also leave a link for this roadmap in the description box, because I know a lot of people will benefit from this regardless of your level, because it covers like from literally the beginning of your front-end profession all the way to senior developer level. So let's get started. As you can see, I'll just go through the rules of this roadmap. So you have two keys here. The fundamental key indicates like a fundamental skill that's quite important as a front-end developer. Specialize here means that it's optional. You can choose to do that. You can choose to specialize in that area, or you can choose to not specialize in that area. Like, it's an option for you to pick. So let's get started with the first one here. The front-end developer profession. Under this, you have several topics talking about what front-end actually is, the job title. So we can just go there and see it, because you can also click on each of these boxes to view more about it. So let's do that. Let's go there. So this is actually put together by Cody Lindley, and I just want to say a great job, because this is a very helpful resource for me, and I'm pretty sure it will also be helpful for people that are watching this video. All right, so this first part of the roadmap is discussing what front-end is, like defining what a front-end developer does for their day-to-day, what kind of things we build as front-end developers. Actually, we build right now, front-end is so wide that we no longer are just looked at as people that just build websites. We now build web apps, progressive web apps. We even build native mobile apps as well, because you can do that with like React Native. But let me not jump into that first. I'm just going to go through this, like exactly what I was saying, say some example of environments that you can build with a native platform. Native application includes Flutter, which is really making the wave right now, native script, React Native, and this is actually new. I don't know about this, Tabriz.js. This roadmap also goes over the required skills that you need as a front-end developer, and also optional skills that are required. And a lot of these are quite important to go over, even though as a developer, front-end developer, you don't need to have necessarily everything listed here. But as you can see, the required skills are quite important, this, and then you can pick one of any of these to level up on. And for job titles, I actually enjoyed reading this part. You can also check it out. There is something called the Great Divide right now in front-end developer world, where there is like the front of the front-end developers and the back of the front-end developers. So what this means is that people are choosing to specialize, because the front-end world is so large. Like literally, there is so much you do as a front-end developer, from like crafting the HTML and CSS, like doing HTML and CSS, to writing JavaScript, and then there's like React, and it becomes complex when you start adding state management. I'm not even talking about accessibility, making sure that it's responsive. Like this is just a few things that front-end developers do, and it's a lot, right? It's a lot. So people are choosing to specialize, and here it's talking about the job title. So you can either choose to work on the front end of the front end, like working with the UI of the application, HTML, CSS, a bit of JavaScript here and there, while you can also choose to become a back of the front end engineer. That means you're not a back end developer, but you're working with the core functionalities of the app using tools like React, Vue, or like core JavaScript frameworks, right? So that's exactly what this job titles part is talking about. And as you can see, there are several different job titles as a front-end developer. You would think that you are just a front-end developer, but actually if you look into it, you might have one of these other titles. I like that there is also compensation, but this varies because this is for the US market, which I definitely know it's not the same all over the world, but just so you know, an average for US mid-level developer, they earn between 65K to 100K, and for a senior or lead developer, they earn around 450K a year. And this is data from Stack Overflow jobs. And there are also challenges with being a front-end developer. It's not all rosy, right? Front-end developers have to write code that will support a user interface on extensive spectrum of device. I mentioned that we have to make whatever we are building responsive, which right now, if you think about it, you have to build for the phone, you have to build for the tablet, you have to build for now sometimes the TV, because I know there is an example app that you can use on your TV is Netflix. You have to make sure it's responsive on the TV as well. So there are a couple of challenges that front-end developers face, and I like that it's being highlighted here as well. So let's go back, and now for the rest of them, I won't go into much details, but I'll leave it for you to view each of the topics and just read more on it, right? Anyway, after we've seen the profession of a front-end developer, what's next? I like that you can go to the next thing using this arrow. So the next thing is getting a front-end developer job. By the way, I've talked about this in one of my videos, how to land the job as a front-end developer. So I would link it somewhere for you to check out. But some of the topics involved here in this path is that he's talking about how to go about getting your front-end developer job, either through a direct education, like having a degree, or self-directed learning, that's learning on your own and eventually landing a job. Some tips on interviewing, finding a job, how to build your resume. And yeah, I pretty much love that everything here is covered, and it's not just going straight into the technology part of it, but also talking about like actual things that you as a front-end developer would have to go through to, find a job and work in the role, right? Which is very important. This part of it is specialized, meaning that you can decide to either go check it out or go to the next one, which is the front end tech / spec overview. Here you see, this is where you'd see topics like the beginning of like front end development, what you should know, what is the internet, what is the World Wide Web, what is HTTP, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, web accessibility. These are the basic things you should know as a front end developer when you're just starting your journey. I did not want to click on that, so I'm just going to go back. Anyway, this is where we are, and from there you can go on to the WW basics mechanics. Now this is going to go in depth into like what the internet is, what is DNS, HTTP, web hosting. I feel like this part of it, a lot of people miss out on when you're learning to become a front-end developer. A lot of people miss out on this information, and I like that it's included here. HTTP and WebSocket is also a topic you should know in your beginning stage of being a developer. It goes on to talk about web platform, code editors like Visual Studio Code or Sublime or Atom, whichever one you choose to use. And then we go into topics of core HTML. So initially we talked a bit about HTML, but now you're going to go in depth in learning about the HTML semantics and elements. There is also this specialized, if you want to learn more about SEO, this is also a learning resource that you should check out, as well as, let's see, web image fundamentals. This is also very important. Accessibility. Accessibility is like, oh my God, accessibility is one of the underlooked aspects of web development. A lot of people don't pay attention to it. And also here, it should actually be, it's actually green. Nice. It should actually be quite important because, it's very important to learn at the beginning level of your front-end journey. Then we go into CSS. So the usual path of learning how to become a front-end developer is you have to learn HTML first. After learning HTML, then you go on to learn CSS, and then you go into JavaScript. I think that is exactly the same layout of this roadmap, right? It takes you through HTML, learning HTML. Actually, it takes you from the beginning. What is front-end development? How do you land a job as a front-end developer? What's the internet? What is a browser? Goes into HTML, then takes you into CSS and CSS fonts, CSS layouts. Everything you need to know in CSS really takes you through all of that. CSS transitions, transform, and animation. And I like this part, CSS best practices. You think that you know CSS until you face a very specific use case that you cannot replicate, or CSS just tries to mess with you. And HTML emails, I think this part is something also very important to know, and it actually depends. So not everybody gets to work on HTML emails, but if you have to, then this resource is here for you to learn and level up on that. Then after that, going to UI design patterns, and this is also very important too. And then we move into JavaScript. I like the flow of this, right? The only thing that I might have a problem with is messing around and, just missing where I was. But it's very interactive, and I like the fact that this is very interactive. Anyway, after that, you can see the next thing is JavaScript fundamentals. Learn what's the JavaScript syntax, what are variables, operators, functions, and you can either choose to go, you can choose to learn regular expressions because it's something you can specialize in, and optional as well if you don't want to. Or you go to JavaScript ES modules, so how to import and export, modules in your JavaScript app. Then you get to learn about command line. You get to learn about Git, which is quite interesting and important as well. You get to also learn about Node, NPM, registry, NPM yarn script. Nice. A lot of all of these things, let's go back. A lot of all of this are things that in one way or the other, you have to work with eventually. And I like that this entire resource roadmap goes through them like in a self-directed way, like in a very great way that they build upon each other. Let me just put it like that. They build upon each other, meaning that you start from the basics and leading up, you get to intermediate level, and then you get to the more complex and advanced level. So let's see where we are. CSS tooling, you need to learn like linting, JS linter, ESLint, Prettier, and then goes into the DOM, the CSS object model, and the BOM. And there is also, before we go over to OOP, there is also some CSS UI toolkits that might be interesting for you to learn about. And then OOP is the next thing you might want to be interested in learning. If the good thing again is that if you're already an intermediate developer and you just want to pick up like lost knowledge, or you just want to go back and refresh your knowledge on some specific topics that you know you want to level up on, you can easily just do that by going to the specific one. It's not compulsory for you to go through this the way that I'm going through it, like through the arrows and everything. You can just look for the specific skill that you want to level up on and learn that and move on, right? It's for everybody. It's not just for beginners. It's for everybody. Just make it that resource that you can quickly look up and check up and, you know, pick what you want to pick out of it and, you know, come back whenever you want to come back. So yeah, I am going to share the links. I already mentioned that in the description box. After learning about JavaScript practices and tooling, it takes you over to the JavaScript Runtime, or ASC, where you get to learn about, you know, Chrome V8 engine, Squirrel, Spider Monkey, which I've never heard about, Squirrelfish, and also you get to learn about web developer tooling like the Chrome Dev Tools, how to use the inspect elements, how to, you know, check the network tab. And this entire part, JavaScript performance, JavaScript and computer science, algorithm and data structure, JavaScript animation, they are all marked specialized, right? As well as key and fundamental. Like it's either you want to learn it or eventually you would still need to learn it. An example is algorithms, data structure. So it's either you learn it at the beginning or you eventually come back to learn it at one way or the other, right? So yeah, it just depicts how important that is. Moving forward, there are also JavaScript bundlers like Webpack, Parcel, Rollup, you know, and X compiled to JavaScript like Elm, TypeScript. TypeScript has become quite popular, and yeah, it might be something you want to look into learning or upskilling in. JavaScript to JS compiler as well, like Babel, TypeScript as well. The Jamstack, this is also making waves right now. So if it's something you're interested in learning, what is the Jamstack? You should also look into that. Responsive web design, progressive web apps, every single thing that you might think about in the world of front-end development. I think you can find a resource for that here. And I just want to go over the last few ones that are here, but please make sure you actually look into this because I would love to go over each one of them, but it's just going to make this video entirely so long. But yeah, I like that we've talked a lot about all these different technologies and we've not even mentioned frameworks. And coming to the world of front-end development, you would think that you just need to know Vue, React, or Angular. But no, can you see, like, this is JavaScript's web application frameworks and libraries, React, Vue, Svelte, and Angular. And compare that with this entire whole thing that you see that you still need to learn in addition to learning, you know, the front-end framework. So front-end is a lot to learn. And I'm not saying that you have to know everything here, right? I'm not saying you should have to know everything here. That's why I mentioned earlier that there are some fundamental skills and some skills that you might want to specialize in. So those are like optional ones. just note that even myself, I don't know everything here. So just don't make that become overwhelming, especially if you're a new programmer. Just know that this resource exists as an everlasting document that you can always check out if you're trying to level up on a specific skill. So I hope this video was helpful to you, or this video will bring light to some of the technologies that are making waves in 2021. Even going further, I'm sure a lot of these are still going to be making waves. So if you're looking at, learning, leveling up your skills, I definitely would advise that you look into this roadmap. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.